One Georgia State student speaks out on the United Nations Climate Action Summit in New York after attending.
And find out why Georgia State may be the only men's basketball team in Atlanta in the postseason this year.
All that and more on Panther Report News. Hello, and welcome to Panther Report News. I'm Keelin Berrian.
And I'm Cheri Pruitt. The United Nations Climate Action Summit came to a close this Monday. The countries that are leading in greenhouse gas emissions made minimal to no efforts to address the climate crisis. Georgia State student Zina Abdul Karim attended the summit and is leading an intersectional movement here in Georgia, a part of 0 Hour.
This is a crisis, act like it.
So don't quit, don't stop. We are the future and we will win.
I haven't had a choice other than to be an activist my whole life. I've had to be an ambassador for my communities, being Muslim, a first-generation immigrant, being Black, being a woman. I haven't had the option of just being passive. 0 Hour is a youth, women of color-led organization, educating the public on the climate crisis, the effects of it, and demanding action from our government and organizing. It is important to have the frontline communities, oppressed communities, minority communities leading this crisis so that whenever the effects of it actually hit in its prime, we are able to do what we need to do to protect everyone. I prioritize my academics more than anything because I'm paying to be here, but pretty much in my social life is my work life in activism. This weekend, I, alongside 16 other of my colleagues, attended the UN Youth Climate Summit in New York. And it was kind of a disappointment, I'm not gonna lie. It's in the name of itself, it was the United Nations Youth Climate Summit. And what it felt like was, yay, the youth are here, but we're gonna continue doing what we're doing. And of course, we appreciate the work and the activism of Greta Thunberg, but Greta Thunberg doesn't face the effects of climate change in the way that LGBTQ people do because they're left on the streets when their family don't accept them, the way that Black people do because we can't, afford to. So Greta Thunberg is doing the work of white activism rather than the work of the community itself. You know what I mean? The communities who will actually face the effects of the climate crisis. I'm ashamed of our adults, I'm ashamed of our world leaders, I'm disappointed, but I'm feeling inspired, not by them, by my own generation, by the activists in my generation, by the community organizers, because I realize the world leaders in our existence, in our globe, are actually the youth. We're not here to adhere to the voices of adults in this movement. We're not here to adhere to the voices of people who will be able to buy themselves out of the climate crisis. We're here to adhere to the voices of people who can't represent themselves. So that's what our platform is. That's why we are what we are.
Research from a Georgia State economist, Stefano Caratini, and his colleagues show that increased recycling requires people in the community to step up and essentially start the trend. Caratini says that starting these practices on a local level can have a large-scale impact on climate change mitigation.
And those contributions can even be made on your way to class. I visited the efforts that some Georgia State students are taking to turn your waste into a delicious treat. Used plastic bottles and aluminum cans were treated as gold for local organization EcoDrop, a recycling solutions company. CEO of EcoDrop, Nicole Toole, explains how impactful everyone can be in recycling.
The change really starts with all of us here. It's just making those conscious decisions, those small decisions, whether you're going to throw away your plastic bottle or put it into a recycling bin. Just make those conscious decisions because it does matter and it does have an impact.
So the process of the recycling is really simple. All you have to do is just come over to EcoDrop and then drop in your plastic or aluminum in, and then you're giving this nice coupon for reduced food or perhaps a plant. students expressed their thoughts about EcoDrop's outreach to Georgia State University.
I really do appreciate it, considering a lot of the stuff I recycle just ends up at the dump, so it's nice to see an organization actually trying to recycle a bunch of plastic bottles.
I think it's a wonderful opportunity for students here on our campus to start recycling, especially because we don't have anything like this on campus. So I think it's a wonderful opportunity for people to start recycling. I love that they're giving an incentive for it and everything.
You can reach EcoDrop at these dates and times. Cheri Pruitt, Panther Report News.
We're on the heels for homecoming season and the Royal Court is ready. Candidates on the court gather at Speaker's Auditorium to campaign on why they believe they should be elected. Students from both the Atlanta and Perimeter campuses gave speeches on their platform. Students can start casting their ballots on Monday, September 30th.
Political correspondent Anna Navarro spoke to students for the Spotlight Programs Board's Distinguished Speaker Series. Tyrik Wynn sat down with Navarro to talk about the 2020 elections and the recent impeachment inquiry. Take a look.
I came back and the House is about to announce that they're going to take up an impeachment inquiry. You can clap.
Students cheer as political strategist Anna Navarro talks about the impeachment inquiry for President Trump. In a one-on-one interview with Panther Report, Navarro opens up about a comment the president made toward a Hispanic individual.
And speaking of Trump, he recently had a rally in New Mexico. So talk about kind of your thoughts on, what you thought about that.
Well, let's see. He was in New Mexico, which has got one of the largest Hispanic populations in the country. It was billed as a Hispanic heritage event. He goes over there and he says to a Hispanic supporter of his, first he says, "Oh, you don't look Hispanic, you look like a wasp." Okay, so that in itself is stupid, right? Hispanics, Latinos come in every shade and creed and ethnicity.
Now we have this election coming up in 2020. Lots of people are paying attention to it. We have a whole lot of Democrats that are a part of this race. So I know you are Republican, but as far as the Democrats kind of paying attention to them, what do you think, what do you think so far about this race?
I have, when I watch the debates, I have debate envy because they are very policy heavy. They get into the weeds on policy. They're debating health care. They're debating student loans. They're debating climate change. They're debating actual gun reform, actual issues that Americans are dealing with and that, crises in America. Just so different than the 2016 Republican primary debates, which were about sweaty hands and little this and lying that and low energy whomever.
Word around campus is Georgia State's men's soccer team is continuing their winning season.
Primetime Tyrik's Wynn has more on the team and other updates on Georgia State sports. Tyrik?
Thanks, Keelin. How's it going, everyone, and welcome to Primetime. That's right, Keelin. The Georgia State men's soccer team has been on an impressive run since the season began. The team is off to a 4-0-2 start with their latest win coming against Winthrop this past weekend. After the game, reporter Kara Nelson spoke with head coach Brett Surrency about the team's hot start.
Just good for us to come out and get another home win in 4-0, so the vibes are good, the energy is positive.
On Saturday night, the Panthers won against Winthrop University Eagles. This game made history, being the first time Georgia State started the first 6 matches without a loss since 2003.
I'm proud of the guys. I'm really proud of the way they went about it. Just the energy and the togetherness. I could tell from the beginning and warm-ups that there was a different feel, and they were bought into the game tonight.
Winthrop Eagles gave it all they had offensively in both halves, but it wasn't enough against the Panthers' defense.
I think it was for that you saw the result today.
The team kept the same momentum down to the final seconds.
9, 8, 7. I know that we still have a ways to go to ultimately reach our full potential.
If the men's soccer team win or draw their next game against Eastern Tennessee State University, they will tie the record of starting a season with 7 consecutive matches without a loss since 1967.
Go Panthers, that's really it.
At Georgia State Soccer Complex, I'm Kara Nelson for Panther Report News.
The men's soccer team will be back in action tomorrow as they face East Tennessee State and Tuesday against Stetson. Women's golf is going to be in Greenville, South Carolina this weekend as they face the Furman Paulden in the Lady Paulden Invitational. So far this season, Emma Berlin has been on the standout player for Panthers as she shot 3 over par to make 13th place in the USA Intercollegiate Tournament. The Georgia State volleyball team attempted to correct course this week after a streak of 5 straight losses with a 3-1 win over Northwestern State. Desmina Hasdig led the team in their win over the 18-kill night for the Panthers. The women weren't so fortunate on Sunday as they faced Brown. The team fell in 5 sets, 3-2 with Brown. After leading 2-1 in sets, the Panthers fell apart in the 4th and 5th sets, eventually leading to a 7-0 run in overtime set that sealed the game for Brown. After the game, reporter Krista White spoke with head coach Sally Pahamas.
Georgia State's women's volleyball team took a tough loss at home against Brown University last Sunday. The game came down to the 5th set and the Bears took the win. Here's what head coach had to say about her team's tough loss.
Well, we really needed to execute our scouting report, and we did not come out ready to play. I was very disappointed on how we started the match. We were slow. We did not key on their dominant hitters. Set 2 was a way better, a different story. We held number 17 under 100 hitting percentage. We really targeted number 8, and so that is 100% on us and our focus.
Leah, she was a big help in a turnaround in set 2. Talk about her game tonight.
So Leah has done such a fantastic job. She's really finding the court on kills and just being an overall scorer for us. And she came through actually all 4 sets that she was dominant in.
As the conference begins, the Panthers will look to get back into the win column versus App State and Coastal Carolina. Clayton State will be hosting the Georgia State cross-country team this weekend as the Panthers look to build on their second-place finish in the UTC Twilight Meet. Runner Lodi Mayberg had this to say, and I quote, "The placements in our first meets were a very good start into this year's cross-country season. Both races were really exciting, and I am very proud of my accomplishments so far." Now, it wouldn't be an episode of Primetime if we didn't mention football. Now, while the Panthers were on a bye week this weekend, the loss from last week is still weighing heavy on some. Reporter Nigel Butler spoke with Georgia State kicker Brandon Wright about the pressures of the position.
Georgia State Panthers came close to a win, falling short by 3 points this past weekend. The Panthers were carried into overtime as regulation time expired by Brandon Wright, but ultimately he missed a 36-yard field goal, ending the hopes of the Panthers in their conference opener. Wright speaks about the pressure of being a kicker.
We come out here, same field goal, just different circumstances. Like a coach told me, it's like walking a tightrope. If you put it 2 inches off the ground, you'll do it. If you put it 50 feet in the air, you still got to do it, just circumstances change.
With homecoming just a week away, the Panthers are focused on perfecting their craft to look as flawless as possible. Energy levels are high in practice, and players are taking extra reps whenever granted to help better prepare them for the big game.
I think, just preparation, more reps going into next week, just try to be as perfect as possible next week.
The Panthers are looking to turn around this next week in their game against Arkansas State. The chances are Brandon's leg is going to need help with that.
The football team will be back at Georgia State Stadium next weekend against Arkansas State for the annual homecoming game, 81.1. It may seem like a random number, but it's this number that has created quite the reputation for recent transfer goalkeeper Kendra Clark. A person is more than their statistics. Reporter Kara Nelson has more.
I'm Kara Nelson, and right now I'm currently sitting with Kendra Clark, the goalkeeper for Georgia State ladies soccer team, who has been on a streak of impressive defense performance this season. So, hello Kendra, thank you for joining me today.
Hi.
So let's start off the interview talking about your childhood, where you're from, some family life.
Okay, I was born in Washington, D.C. I lived there for about a year, for which I remember none of it. So then we moved to Maryland, where I literally lived in the same house for 16 years. All my friends in the neighborhood, and my friends that I met through school, we all had gone to the same school, so I'd been in a really tight-knit community.
So you played soccer at Cleveland State University.
Mm-hmm.
How was it playing there and leaving your familiar community?
It was hard. There was a lot of tears in my second semester, but everything felt really far away. I didn't know anybody, had no connections. It was definitely an experience that I do think everybody should have. It was mentally toughening to work through off the field. On the field, it's actually great that I had that group of 25 girls who I sweated with and worked with and like basically died with and came back to life, and we was gonna do it all again the next day. But that made it a lot easier.
So you had one transition, leaving your hometown, going to Cleveland. Then you had another one, leaving Cleveland, coming to Atlanta, which is literally like leaving the north and coming down to the south. So how was it?
It's interesting. It's 10 hours from here to Cleveland and also from here to Maryland. But it's definitely difficult, but I think I'm managing a little bit better just because I've gone through it before. But as far as like leaving a second family, like that's hard as well.
So if you've been here for 2 months and you've already made a name for yourself, literally. So what is it like playing for a Georgia State soccer team as goalie?
My team definitely trusts me a lot, and I really appreciate that. And every time, like practice, games, lifting, like I don't want to let them down. I want to be the one hyping them up, and I want to like lead by example, but also but also push them too.
So can you imagine life without soccer? Or like even when you get into your career, do you plan on going back to teach it or coach?
Yeah, I want to coach. Not at the collegiate level, but like I want to coach up a team from youth to college, and I really want to give them all the opportunities that this sport has presented me with. I just want to see them. I know it's gonna make my heart like so full. Like it will give me like 30 children, like, and I'll just like help them grow, and I can guide them, and I feel like I know what they need to hear, and like I really want to see them like have those experiences. I have imagined my life without soccer many times, and honestly, without the discipline that I got from soccer and like the path that it set me on, like I don't think I would be who I am today. And it's kind of scary to think that like one major thing or something so small in your life could change it so much. And it's really for that I just can't imagine like my life without soccer. I really don't want to.
In non-GSU news, Georgia Tech men's basketball has been banned from the 2019-2020 postseason play and has been placed on a 4-year probation. This is because 2 Georgia Tech boosters provided impermissible benefits to the men's basketball program, according to the NCAA. In addition, a fine of $5,000 and a reduction of 2% of the program's budget has been issued. This is an ongoing story, and we here at Panther Report News will monitor the situation. Well, that's all we have here at Primetime this week. Be sure to keep an eye out on our social media on all platforms at GSU PRN. Back to you, Cheri.
Thank you, Tyrik. The University Career Services are moving with the times. They're introducing a new headshot photo booth that allows students to replace their LinkedIn profile pictures. The Technology and Communications Coordinator, Daniel Ederton, has more on the department's new addition.
I went with a more DIY model, so they could drop in at any time. We could expand the hours. They could get their photos immediately, have their photos accessible for up to a year after they take them, and it's all pretty much do it yourself.
The photo booth is free for current students and alumni. Daniel says they have plans to expand these booths to the perimeter campuses. The Georgia Department of Health confirms that the first death from a vape-related illness in the state. According to the DPH, test reveals that the victim had a chronic history of vaping nicotine and no reports of THC. They are investigating 9 respiratory illnesses in Georgia that is linked to vaping.
Hey Cheri, do you remember the old gas station that was in front of Piedmont Central in the Commons?
Yeah, a lot of people used to call it Shady Shell or even Sketchy Shell.
That's the one. Well, you'll recall in 2017 that they tore down the gas station to build the new 26-story student apartment complex, The Mix, featuring a racetrack at the base of the building. The racetrack held its grand opening on Tuesday, and the students are buzzing about the new convenience store on campus.
Have you ever rode one of those little bird scooters in Atlanta?
Yes, me and my friends, we ride it on the weekends on the Atlanta Beltline. Well, the weather is nice.
Well, soon everyone will be able to ride their e-scooters and bikes on the roads in Atlanta. Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms announced the city will add 20 miles of protected land for e-scooters and bike riders specifically.
Well, that's our show.
Make sure to stay connected to Panther Report news throughout the week, and be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at GSU PRN.
Also, subscribe down below and let us know what you think about the show.
And tell us if you're excited about Atlanta's big makeover that's underway. I'm Cheri Pruitt.
And I'm Keelin Berrian, and we will see you next week.